So, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining me today on this webinar about the European Innovation Council, about financing deep tech innovation. It's really a pleasure for me to give you this webinar. A few housekeeping messages. For technical questions, please use uh, the chat tab on the right. Yes, exactly, the one that's popping up now. For questions concerning the content of the webinar, please use the question tab. It will be easier for me to track things at the end. Unfortunately, there are no colleagues today with me, so I will keep all the questions for the end of the webinar. So yes, I'm sorry that I can't address them live while presenting. So let's move to the presentation that I've prepared for you today. Yes, it's on. So today we speak about the European Innovation Council. The European Innovation Council is a part of Horizon Europe. So the agenda of today, we will start with a very brief introduction on what Horizon Europe is for people who have not been here yet with us in this quite long series of webinar that we have organized for you. Yes, we will go into the idea of the European Innovation Council. We will then tackle the three major instruments that are composing the EIC. We'll touch quickly our services, and then we will have time for our Q&A. Yes, so what's the aim of Horizon Europe for those of you who don't know yet? The aim of Horizon Europe is to stimulate investments into research, development, and innovation in Europe, and to ensure a sustainable and inclusive future. You have two main concepts that you can basically find everywhere in Horizon Europe. First is the concept of green transition, green and digital. Second, the concept of innovation acceleration, translating the research done in the laboratories, in the RTOs, in the academia, translating it into market products. What's very important, and it's a novelty compared to Horizon 2020, is the stronger link with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The structure of Horizon Europe. For those of you who are familiar with Horizon 2020, no big changes. Three-pillar structure with an horizontal ribbon for widening and strengthening the European research area. The three pillars are slightly changed. I will not focus on Pillar 1 and Pillar 2. For Pillar 1, for those of you who are familiar with Horizon 2020, please note that the future and emerging technologies that was part of the excellent science has now moved into Pillar 3, which is where the EIC sits. And indeed, we will talk about it today. Pillar 2 is basically what was Pillar 2 before, plus the societal challenges. As I told you, Horizon Europe is focused on innovation acceleration, and therefore, Innovative Europe is a dedicated pillar with the EIC, with the European Innovation Ecosystem Work Program, and with the support to the EIT, to the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, and to its 7 KICs. If you're new to Horizon programs, of course you have different kind of projects that you can apply for in Horizon Europe. You have collaborative projects and individual research projects. Today we will touch both of them. You can have bottom-up projects where you have free subject, and you can have top-down topics where the Commission has set, together with the member states, research priorities. We will touch again both of them today. Who can participate? Everyone. Public, private institution, research organization, academia, companies, be them SMEs or large multinational enterprise, association, hospitals, single individuals. And also single individuals are allowed to participate to Horizon Europe in general and into the EIC. This is a novelty that we're going to address later today. So, if there's no question that you want to ask now, yeah, we can also take, if you want, please post a question now about this first part. But if there's nothing, let's dive into the EIC. The EIC is basically there to support deep tech innovation. So it's the aim is to identify breakthrough technologies, game-changing innovation with the possibility to scale up internationally and become market leaders. So in order to do that, you have to support all the stages of innovation. Innovation is not just about the company at the end. It's to support the novel R&D, to identify the breakthrough technologies, what's becoming the competitive advantage in 5, 10, 15 years from now. You can have tools to support and validate them and bring and build the demonstrator of our breakthrough technology. So to start meeting real world needs. And then you have the possibility to scale up a startup, a small, medium-sized enterprise. So you have financial tools also for that. Since today we are going to discuss the EIC World Program, which is not finally adopted. Of course, everything that I'm going to say, can, in theory, be subject to changes. It's very unlikely that this is going to happen, to be honest, but still there's the possibility. So when you see a tentative deadline, please note that it can change, because if there's a further delay in the negotiation process, this can push later a deadline. Also, if we think that there are some measures that are still not 100% agreed upon yet, and for instance, there's small grants that can be given to running projects. I will not touch into that. I will focus on the three main components today. And just to go ahead, yes, the EIC basically, therefore, as I told you, tries to cover the entire technology readiness level scale. I am sure that you have heard it quite a lot. You have heard this concept of TRL quite a lot. There was discussion into the EIC whether to bring in other indicators like market readiness level. And indeed, it's an interesting concept, which for probably not enough maturity in the discussion or in the indicator itself has not been adopted. But for those of you who are not familiar with the TRL scale, remember that TRL1, and when you have the idea and you have the basic research to work on your idea, and TRL5, basically you have TRL4, you have your proof of concept almost ready. TRL6, you have your prototype, and TRL9 it's when you are deploying your innovation to the market. The EIC try to cover all of this. Lower TRL, up to TRL4, you have what's called the EIC Pathfinder. TRL5 and 6, the relatively new instrument of the transition, and TRL7 to 9, the Accelerator. Just to summarize what we're going to discuss in a few minutes, EIC Pathfinder, the aim is to support science towards technology breakthrough research. The aim is to have small collaborative projects, 4 to 6 partners, up to 3 million euros, 3 to 4 years in duration. It's the former FET open and proactive projects, basically. They have changed the name, moved that into the EIC, and of course, moving them into the EIC, you have an increased focus on the market aspects. Transition. Transition is a special tool which is open just to Pathfinder grantees and to those of you, to the researchers who have an ERC proof of concept. So it's more for the University of Luxembourg, for the list. I see some Italian friends also there who are very successful into the ERC. So yes, it's also for you guys. Transition is to basically bring your proof of concept to TRL 6. Also, it includes market feasibility studies and activities towards the establishment of joint ventures. So it also brings on board part of what was the SME phase 1 in Horizon 2020. I'm sure they're not just only Italian friends online, but it's because I'm Italian that I recognize their name and I know that their performance. So no offense to the other countries present here today. Accelerator, it's probably the flagship instrument of the EIC, piloted quite a lot into Horizon 2020. It's to target the single SMEs and startups with ambitious plans for scale up based on our strong technology innovation. And it's the blended finance tool where you have grant and equity investment into the company. All clear? Okay. So I told you earlier that the EIC is going to be bottom up and top down, that we were touching bottom up and top down. So the EIC is essentially a bottom up scheme, and it has been like that into Horizon 2020 as well. But for those of you who are familiar with the FET, FET had a proactive part. And for those of you who have applied, for instance, to the EIC in the past, you remember that we had emergency, let's call it emergency COVID-19 cutoff in March 2020, and we also had a Green Deal call for the accelerator in May, if I remember correctly, last year. So it's not entirely new, but the availability of budget from Next Generation EU, the extra availability of budget from Next Generation EU, the package that was agreed in the idea of, using the recovery from the COVID crisis as a mean to innovate Europe as well, has basically allowed the Commission to have a quite substantial budget line for top-down research. So we will not discuss this into details later for a sake of time, but you will have, in the EIC Pathfinder, you will have 5 challenges, one on self-aware AI, one on tools to measure and stimulate activity in the brain tissue, one on to new technologies for cell and gene therapy, one on hydrogen, and one on engineered living material. It's quite exciting topic, the last one, in particular for me, who are working most with a materials company. And if you want to read more about it, I encourage you to go to the Manu Future technology platform webpage, where you can have reports on that. Gene therapy, it's about what's emerging in the literature. The brain one is on, yes, it's, I think Elon Musk has something planned. Self-aware AI is, yes, it's the next challenge of AI. So how the systems can start to be aware of the decision that they're making. For the transition, you have 2 challenges identified. This is probably the less important at the moment. It's about energy storage and harvesting and lab to medical technologies, from lab to the patient. For the accelerator, this instead is quite important because, of course, you have it's the audience for this tool is quite wide. So you have strategic, digital, and health technologies, and the Green Deal. Again, we have the Green Deal. So Yes, I see that there's a question about the sound quality. Can you confirm that you all hear me well? Just to make sure. Rebecca says that it's good, but okay. Okay, thanks, guys. So yes, maybe it's an individual problem there. If you have problem, first thing to try with live stream is try to refresh. It normally works, and also just another thing that I wanted to tell you is if you have any problem and at a certain point your connection drops, you will receive the recording of the webinar at the end. So don't worry in case your connection goes down, and try, of course, to reconnect for the Q&A in case you don't have it. Yes, there was Vigo typing. Let's wait a sec. Oh, no, he stopped. So let's move on. Let's move on into the Pathfinder. Actually, Pathfinder is yes. Yeah, let's call it the continuation of the FET Open and Proactive. Because, and if you remember, in FET Open and Proactive, you had at a certain point the introduction of the gatekeepers. What are the gatekeepers? Basically, the gatekeepers were what the Commission used as an eligibility criteria for you to access the FET. So to be sure that your innovation had a long-term vision and was radically new, and the potential to have a transformative positive effect, and to have essentially what you have also in the ERC, a high-risk, high-gain approach. This is now not anymore an eligibility criteria. We will discuss it when we're talking about the evaluation of the EIC Pathfinder, but still the aim remains. An interesting thing, the FET Open had very low success rate. They were success rate around 5%, if I remember correct. No, 0.5 success rate. I remember that I was before becoming an NCP. I have been an evaluator for FET, and I remember that yes, the last call I evaluated had a success rate of 0.5%. After the introduction of the gatekeeper, so trying to explain who was the real target of the tool, the success rate increased quite a lot, quite substantially, because a lot of background noise basically disappeared. And indeed, don't consider the Pathfinder as where to apply for a collaborative project that doesn't fit into any of the clusters. It's not like that. It's for radically new technologies with a transformative positive effect on the society and of the market. Who can apply to the Pathfinder? Well, it's a call for collaborative interdisciplinary research. So you need to have a consortium of minimum 3 partners for 3 member states, associated countries. If you hear me in the other webinars about Horizon Europe in general, about the collaborative tools, about the clusters, I normally say that minimum 3 is not the aim. It's a minimum, it's the legal minimum. Normally in the other Horizon 2020, also Horizon Europe projects, you tend to have slightly larger consortia. Here, you are not going far from 3 partners. The average normally is 4, 6, maximum 8 partners. It's very rare to see big projects because it's about the interdisciplinary research. It's about completing and complementing each other in a synergistic approach. It's not like you need to have many backups. Budget is quite compact, 3 million per project. And first, remember the disclaimer earlier to be confirmed. The next deadline will be on the 19th of May. Yes, another difference from the conventional calls of Horizon Europe The EIC work program is for 1 year. So you don't have the deadlines for 2022. This is just for 2021. The challenge, what's different, because there are some major differences. First, you have top-down identified topics. And here, the major difference. Single entities can apply to the Pathfinder challenge only if they are RTOs, academia, or SMEs. You can't apply as a single entity if you are a large enterprise. Large enterprises are allowed only in consortia of minimum, and here another difference, 2 legal entities. The indicative budget is slightly higher, 4 million euros per project. The evaluation process is slightly different, and the next deadline is for the 27th of October, again, to be confirmed. So I can tell you that the adoption is foreseen of the EIC work program. The adoption is foreseen for around the middle of March. So the official confirmation will happen just that day. We will have a pretty quick process in adopting it from the member states' perspective. There's still some work to be done in the Commission. So yes, roughly 1 month from now. Evaluation process, it's new. And I have been participating in the discussion to get to this new evaluation process. And there were many options on the table. And then this was the one that we agreed with the Commission. And how does it work? You have a remote evaluation, as happened before. But when you submit your project, your proposal, it's evaluated. It doesn't go from the remote evaluators to the consensus discussion. It goes first into a rebuttal phase. What's this rebuttal? What's this rebuttal for? I can tell you from a personal experience as an evaluator, evaluating Pathfinder, well, FET Open grants, and it will be the same for Pathfinder, it's not easy. It's really at the forefront of research. It's like evaluating an ERC. You need to be an expert. And sometimes you don't feel to be an expert enough to understand exactly what you're reading. You may get it wrong. You may provide the Commission with comments which are not exactly in line with what was the scope of the project. It happens. Evaluators are people, so they fail, and in some cases they can fail very badly. So since here, having read a paper or not can make the difference, there's the possibility for the applicant to say, no, look, guys, you got it really wrong. This is published already by this guy, so this makes total sense. You can respond to the comments of the evaluators, and then the remote evaluation comments plus the rebuttal to these comments will be transferred to the consensus panel, in which they will take consideration of both the 2 components and issue the evaluation summary report with the decision of funding or not funding your application. How does the rebuttal work? You will have 7 days to reply to the comments of the evaluators, but you will not be able to use this reply to add content. If you have forgot something, it's your fault. It's not the occasion where you say, yes, look, sorry, I forgot to include the table for the amendment. No, it's not something that you can do. You can focus on misunderstandings or errors by the evaluators. Consensus meeting, as I told you, will take into account both the comments and the response. The aim is to have a discussion focused mostly on the proposals that are close to get funded or very close to the threshold. This is what they are targeting, not to have this big rebuttal for all the proposals, including the ones scoring very, very bad. The experts can be invited to the discussion, in particular for the proposal which are really standing on the line. So if there's a major remark from an evaluator and a major comment, a major rebuttal from the consortium, the evaluator can be invited to explain why he gave that comment. Pathfinder challenge. Here you don't have the rebuttal. Frankly speaking, I don't know why, and I can tell you very honestly. We asked, but Commission preferred not to have it. I think since it's a 1-year work program, this will be allowed. This will allow to pilot this rebuttal and see how it works. So they wanted to have it just for one part and not for both of them. In this way, you can, yes, you pilot it, you see if it works, and if it doesn't work good, you drop it. If it works very well, you take it on board for everything. What's different also is that you have what is called portfolio consideration. What's the rationale behind this portfolio consideration? And yes, we can go into the slides about that. The aim of portfolio consideration is to have, since you are tackling a challenge, you don't want to have proposals just tackling one aspect of the challenge. If you want to tackle energy, hydrogen generation, you want to tackle it from different fronts in order to come to a solution. If you go just from one direction and you fail because that direction isn't working, then it's a failure of the entire challenge. That's the aim of this portfolio consideration, which will be done together with the program managers. This is a new figure in the Commission organigram, and it will be a new figure into this new innovation agency that the Commission is establishing to run the EIC. Actually, it's if you are interested into that, have a look at the Commission website, because it's a quite challenging position. It's a quite interesting position if you want to go for it. So keep a look, keep your eyes on the Commission website in case they start to hire more program managers. And yes, there's basically it will be a categorization of the proposals to be sure that you are basically that you are going to have the major building blocks of the subsystem of the challenge, so that you're covered from technical areas, competent technologies, risks, size, budget. You have different considerations being taken for this portfolio aspect. Transition, we will be quick on this. Okay. The idea of the transition, and it was run in the Horizon 2020, the idea of the transition is that you want to have innovation activities going beyond the experimental proof of principle. So it's about the maturation, the validation of novel technology to the prototype stage. And it's for developing the business plan and the business case. Also the business models. That's why I was mentioning earlier the possible joint ventures between different institutes. How does it work? It's restricted to FET Open and FET Open and proactive grantees. Sorry, that's a mistake. It's not FET Open and Pathfinder grantees, FET Open and proactive grantees, and for the ERC proof of concept grantees. Of course, with the continuation of Horizon Europe, when you will have EIC Pathfinder grantees, they will be allowed to apply for the transition. The IP must be generated inside the project. So it must be IP which is coming from the project. The applicant can be someone who has developed the IP in the project or who has the right to exploit this IP. So imagine that, yes, I see the IIT, the University of Luxembourg, and let's say, yes, TyQuest, they work on a project together. and they work on this project together, and they generate some IP in the FET project, in the Pathfinder project, and they decide that Rosa from TyQuest is the one who is going to exploit commercially the IP, because they are a young company, and with, of course, licensing. So this is also part of the project. You define the business model and also the revenues behind, and this goes ahead like this. You have €1 million per project, and you have the next deadline indicative for September this year. Yes, Alex. Yeah, you can work together with all of them. Who can apply? You can be alone in applying for the transition if you are an SME or RTO or academia. Or large enterprises are allowed into consortia of 2 to 5 maximum members. The evaluation is on excellence, impact, and implementation. So familiar concepts for those of you who have experience into Horizon programs. And then you get into the interview with the jury. What's important is that the focus of it's really on the quality of the team. And this is something that you will see quite a lot into the EIC Accelerator as well. The team is very, very important when you bring your innovation to the market. You need to have people who understand how to make business. Okay, let me take a break, because it's it's 30 minutes that I'm speaking, and it's well, challenging. So if it's all okay here, yes, I see someone who's typing something into the chat. Let's also remember that you can use the question tab for the Q&A at the end. It's easier for me to follow that just one tab, but of course, if you type a question in the chat, I will be happy to take it. For those of you who just joined, you will receive the recording, and contact me if you want to receive the slides. Also, we can have a discussion in details about the different instruments that are interesting for you. So, Accelerator. We are into the last part of this webinar. Accelerator is there to supporting companies to scale up. And there's a major political, economic challenge that Accelerator is there to tackle. It's the fact that in Europe, we are great in creating innovation. But when it comes to translating into innovation into market, then we are not the best one on this in this world. And I don't know from when this image is. I think it's from 2017 or 18, but the situation hasn't changed much. It's the number of unicorns. It's the size, also the relative size of unicorns. And you see that US is doing very, very well. Asia is doing well as well. China is really strong, but Europe, we are tiny, not just by size, but also by numbers here in the middle. So I don't think you can see my mouse, but yes, in the middle, it's very difficult to see Europe. So it's a challenge. And what's the reason for the fact that we are not this good? Is that the fact that when it comes to private capital to support high-risk innovation, it's much easier for a company in Europe to look at Southeast Asia, to look at Singapore, to look at Silicon Valley, because there you go, you knock on some doors, and if your idea is good, you get quite easily money from venture capital. You do it in Europe, we are really, really, really careful. And what's the best way of convincing careful people to open their wallets is to have someone who's sharing the risk with them. So the EIC Accelerator is a risk-sharing tool to support SMEs and startups when they need to validate the prototypes with the first clients. It's when you that's the point. The real point when you don't have private capital, when you are looking for the first customer. You have public funding for developing the prototype. You have private capital when you are close to the market. There's the value, what they call the value of debt. The EIC Accelerator is to fill the value of debt. So who's the target for the EIC Accelerator? Companies, or this is a major novelty, researchers aiming to incorporate a startup. So for the universities and the RTOs here today, you can apply, your researchers can apply to the EIC Accelerator, and in case they are successful, they are able to incorporate the company during the process. So what you need to have a high impact innovative product, service, or business model that can create new markets or disrupt existing ones. Disrupt means, the attack from behind, really. You come with a total novel solution which, bam, make the market explode and you become the leader. You have to be with the right timing, of course. You need to have good IP protection strategies in place, which can be patent or other solutions in case you're developing softwares that cannot be patented. You need to have a convincing commercialization strategy. So you need to have a commercialization strategy which is also in line with your company. You can't go with a company which is based in Luxembourg and which targets the entire planet in the first 2 years of since its birth. You need to have a geographical approach. You need to have innovation which is delivered in a way that is aligned with the market that you're choosing. And you need to have the right partners in place. If you are targeting as a first market Southeast Asia, for instance, you need to have partners in Southeast Asia because it's very difficult to enter such a far market, such a different market also, without right partners in place. Still, remember that it's a single entity project. You need to have a high level of financial risk and investors who are there with looking for someone sharing the risk with them. The typical example that I like to make is, imagine that you have a very strong innovation for a technical solution, and you need to demonstrate that this solution can, achieve a major KPI. This KPI is also written in the agreement that you have with some investors who are saying, if you demonstrate that you can achieve this technical KPI, we are going to unlock 5 other million euros for bringing it to the market. You go with that to the commission and you say, look, they won't be to validate it, but I don't have the money to do it. Can you please help me? This is what the commission would really like. And the team is very important. It's I always love the enthusiasm of young teams, but be sure to have seasoned entrepreneurs working with you. It's very, very important. Also, remember that well, it's pretty big project, the EIC. So if you apply for a pretty big project, you need to have quite some expenses also. The budget is built on your expenses. So you need to have a pretty big team to spend some million euros. So if you don't have the team in place, be sure that you are explaining and that you're credible in how you are growing your team. EIC is blended finance. You have grant and equity. Why you have grant and equity? Because it's also a co-funded instrument from the grant phase. So imagine a young startup. You have just emptied your bank account into your startups. So your money is really precious. And you need that money to start working with your first clients, to start doing some marketing. Some activities are not covered by the grant because the grant covers research and innovation. Marketing is not covered. Therefore, you don't want to spend all your cash that is needed to finance those activities to co-finance the grant. In this case, you can use the equity that is coming from the Commission. How it comes? It comes via a new tool, by a vehicle, which is called the EIC Fund. They can enter the capital of the company with a ticket of up to 15 million euros, with a maximum of 25% of the evaluation of the company. I have very quick calculation that I make for the startups going to apply is that you need to have an estimated value to me, which is around at least 5 million euros to go into this system. For the math, contact me privately and we discuss it. Grant only and grant first strategies can also be submitted. It's an important element. Grant only, it's for companies that can demonstrate that you can have enough cash flow to co-finance the project and maintain the company healthy during the duration of the project. For a grant first company, the idea is to have slightly lower maturity, low maturity innovation, around TRL 5, 5.5, let's say, let's call it. It doesn't exist, but TRL 5.5, with a milestone in 1 year to decide whether to go ahead and then ask for the equity or stop the project because it's not going into the right direction, for the EIC at least. Equity only, and this applies also to small mid-cap companies which have up to 500 employees as a matter of size, for fast market scale up. What's important to remember, the grant is covering tier 6 to 8. The equity is to cover tier 8 and 9. This is what you have to remember in general. So yes, who can apply? You need to be a startup or an SME according to that EU recommendation. So for SMEs, it's important that you perform the self-assessment because depending who your shareholders are, you cannot be considered in certain cases an SME. Equity only support, the mid-caps can apply as well, up to 500 people. Companies which are not yet established in the European Union, they will need to be incorporated. They will need to be incorporated into EU before the final submission, the full submission, and we will go into the submission process in a while. And there will be a case by case from the Commission on the real European added value. The aim is not to have a major company from everywhere else in the world setting up a mailing box in Kirchberg and then not having any substance in Europe. There needs to be a European added value. Researchers aiming to register a company in Europe. So it's a nice tool for the spin-offs of the RTOs or the universities. Submission process. It's a 3 steps. It's a 3-step submission process, and this is new. We have seen a glimpse of what the system will be, because it's everything is going to be new. It's a new AI-powered tool that is going to be used by the Commission to support the application. This is for allowing all the applicants to go into the system without needing a consultant to write the proposal. And this was, I don't know if there are consultants here today, but it was almost impossible to get an EIC Pilot in Horizon 2020 without a consultant. The Commission has then decided to subcontract a company which has developed an AI tool to guide you in how to write the application, to provide you some tools to write a better application, both in responding a questionnaire, which is based on the Heilmeyer Catechism. I write it here in the chat. Heilmeyer Catechism. It's a sort of set of questions developed by DARPA to identify the innovation potential. You will have to submit this response to a questionnaire, which will roughly account to 5 pages at the end, with a video pitch and a pitch deck. The video pitch, not anything professional. The CEO of the future CEO of the company saying, who's the team, what's the innovation about in 3 minutes. Pitch deck, the classical pitch deck that you use. This is continuously open. Remember, you fail twice. Oh, so there's something not working. Yes, you fail twice, you get a 1-year ban. You're then invited to submit a full proposal. You have 2 cutoff dates this year, one in June, one in October. Again, supported by this AI tool. If you want to have a look at that, it's called InnoLoop. It's not the release of the Commission, but it's the one that the Commission is going to use. As I told you, for the first step, also here, fail twice and you get a 1-year ban. Why that? Because Commission wants to avoid to have a 1% success rate, because there are so many people resubmitting and resubmitting and resubmitting since 2014. There are projects resubmitted for years and years. Some lucky get funded, some of them will never get funded and will be background noise, discouraging people to apply. Because honestly, if I'm communicating that the success rate of a tool is 1%, you can look into my face and tell me, is it really worth the effort? And in some cases, I can agree with you. You get that if you are successful at the full proposal stage, you get invited to a face-to-face interview with business experts. Hopefully, since the first set of interviews is foreseen in September, it will happen in Brussels. Hopefully not because we love going to Brussels, but because it means that COVID will be slightly finishing. If not, it will be online. And there's a substantial experience on doing online things now, also this webinar demonstrates. What is the possible outcome? You are funded. And then you go into the negotiation or you go into the due diligence of the equity, you get the grant, you have to register the company if you are young researchers. You can also be asked to go and try again the interview. They say, look, you didn't do it well, but we see the potential. Come again at the next round. You can get a seal of excellence, and seal of excellence will change from the past. It will be for companies who are without enough financial risk for putting in taxpayers' money. The EIC fund is pooling private capital, also private investors, who are there to jump into and invest into companies who are excellent but without enough financial risk. This is a major difference from before in terms of seal of excellence. If you are rejected a second time, bam, another year ban. You go again from the system. In theory, that shouldn't happen, but can happen that the evaluators of the pre-screening and the evaluators of the full proposal are not getting it right. Rosa, you are writing something about for the full proposal. Maybe type in your question. Type in your complete question, because we are about to finish the presentation, so I can tackle it at the end. Before you apply for the accelerator, remember that it's not for every startup. It's about innovation. It's about maturity. It's about ambitious but realistic scale-up plan. It's about the IP that you have. It's about blended finance. That's the norm. You need to demonstrate if you're going for other approaches. I wanted to have a slide on our services here. We don't have, I forgot it. I'm sorry about that. That's quite a surprise for me as well, but I can tell you what our services are while you start typing in your question. Basically, we are there to support you. Whether you are a company, whether you are a PI, whether you are the facilitator in a research institute or in the university, we work together with you, and we start from your idea, from your project, and we try to find where it fits best in Horizon. It can be in the clusters, it can be into Pillar 1, it can be into the EIC. From there, we move on and we guide you, if you need partners, to find partners. We guide you to the public-private partnerships in Brussels. We guide you to to who are the best players to partner with. After that, we can work together on your proposal. For the EIC Accelerator, I try to have a very hands-on approach, that we can have constant reviews so that you're sure you're going into the right direction. I will also be there as soon as I receive the training myself to guide you in how to compile the InnoLoop tool. In the submission process, we help you on legal and financial. We also help you on legal and financial after the project ends, after the project starts. Sorry. So when you have to claim the cost of your project. What else do I wanted to tell you? Yes, on the Commission website, on the funding and tender portal, register as an expert, and the final message is register to our newsletter. I am sure that if you got this message for the webinar, you are probably already registered. If you don't, and you have received from a friend, go and register, because it's the best way to get information from us quite constantly. Of course, our email address, phone numbers are there on the slide, so feel free to contact me. And also the new website is horizoneurope.lu, and tune in, and you can get quite a lot of information there. So questions. Well, yeah, it's being intense, let's say. So Alvaro is asking when the pre-screen submission for the EIC Accelerator are open. It's going to happen in half March. I can tell you the date that I've seen is 18th of March. We hope that everything is there in place for that day. The aim is to go for that. I move now to the question tab. So if you can please type in the questions there. Oh, there's a tough one here before moving. Startups with success rate in Luxembourg of startups. No, unfortunately, for the moment, success rate in Luxembourg has been very, very low for the EIC Accelerator. And I can tell you, it's made probably issue on of maturity. The point I see is that Luxembourg, we have a very young innovation, a very young startup community, and therefore it's tricky when you are a young startup to meet the demands of the EIC Accelerator. So it's probably there's a difficult alignment between the ecosystem at the moment and the requirements. I can tell you there has been quite the last round we had 8 seals of excellence. I can tell you who they are, but there has been 8 seals of excellence, and I can tell you that some of them were really close to getting it. The point was that last round there was a huge number of applications, and this caused some issues in terms of the success rate, and that's something that we couldn't change. if you score a 14, normally you would get to the interview. When you have 4,000 applicants, it's tricky. Thanks, Rebecca. Now, Rosa, your question. Yes, the template, it's called Heilmeyer Catechism. I wrote it in the chat. I write it again. Yes. Oh, there you go. It's here. It's from DARPA. You can find it on the DARPA website. Alex, IP. Depending on the field where you are, you need to have your protection to keep your IP protected. This depends on, of course, where you are. You are in software. If you are in software can't be patented. Still, you have ways to keep your secrets secret. This is what they are aiming for. German. Limitation in terms of topics. No, it's totally bottom up. If you are in some specific areas of digital and of health, you can go for the next generation EU. So for the challenge, if you are developing predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance is in line with the Industry 4.0 and several strategies for that the Commission is putting in place. So you are in the strategy of the Commission. We will need to discuss further in details how you're going to do it to see whether you are for the challenge or not for the challenge. Still, if you apply for the challenge and you're not fitting, you're going to be evaluated on the other side. So don't worry about that. Rosa, yes, there was another one for the full proposal. The full proposal will still be on this InnoLoop platform. They will not use the set of preliminary sort of questionnaire. It will be a sort of how can I call it? Excellence impact implementation approach. Fiodek, if I pronounce it correctly, if not, sorry, but my Polish is below 0. What's the real hands-on support that we can count from Lux Innovation in the application process? Yes, I proofread, I provide feedback, and I help with partner matching. Yes. This is something that we all do. For the accelerator, the proofread is, at least what I can offer for the accelerator is quite hands-on. So we really go hands in hand until the application. So you send me your application, I review it, and I tell you what's good and what's bad in hopefully one day maximum. If I am overwhelmed, I tell you, wait 1 day more. And yes, we had a small financial instrument in Horizon 2020. We don't know if we are going to keep it for the future, but partner matching, yes. Legal and financial advice, yes. So no other. Okay, cool. There are messages in the chat as well. Vigo, if you are applying for Sweden or Luxembourg, no, there's no difference if you are applying from Sweden or Luxembourg. If you apply from, there are no geographic categories, there are no fixed geographic, well, there's no return based on where you are coming from. There's no 100 million for Luxembourg, 500 for Sweden, 1 billion for Germany. No, it's competitive. But what else? What I wanted to say is, of course, I will be able to help you if when you're applying from Luxembourg. My Swedish colleagues will be helping you if you apply from Sweden. So in case I can, if you want to apply from Sweden, I will be extremely disappointed, but I will guide you through to my friends in Sweden. And limitation with respect to other public funding, national, no. The EIC is, at least for Luxembourg, is not in competition against national funding. Of course, the restriction is that you can't double cost activities. If the salary of one employee is costed on the national project, it can't be costed onto the EIC. It can be 50-50. If you are traveling for your research project, the bill, the airplane ticket can be on one project or on the other one. So you can't double cost, but you can have both running. What you can't have, 2 EIC accelerators in parallel. This is restriction. What else do I wanted to say about this? Commission will pilot fast track access from other instruments into the EIC Accelerator, in particular from the Transition, the Pathfinder, the ERC proof of concept. So if your innovation is ready to go for the EIC Accelerator, you will skip basically the pre-screening. For national funding, something is considered for the future. So to have plugging in of national funding into the EIC, but this is not for 2021 for sure. It's for probably, if it happens, it's for 2022. Okay, guys, it's 11:02. So we are beyond our time for the day. I'm happy to take any further question if you want. Otherwise, please be in touch, and I'm really happy to discuss with you on an individual basis. And thanks a lot for your attention. Thanks a lot for staying here all the duration of this webinar, and I look forward to your project. Thanks a lot, guys.